people, welcome to another episode of The Blitz. And today, this is a little UK collab. Normally we're up at 11 p.m. recording with people from the West Coast and stuff like that. But it's a nice 9 p.m. evening, and we have Danny and Cal from Atlanta Falcons UK. Guys, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thank you for having us on. It was going better until we found out there was a Saints fan in the chat as well. So,
you know what? I like it. I feel like there's going to be a lot of NFC South beef today. I'm sitting here with my cup ready for it. But you know what, guys? Let's get straight into it because it's a weird one, the Atlanta Falcons. I look at you guys and I think you're not a bad team, but your record last season says otherwise. You have the 4th pick in the draft. Going back from last season, what do you feel was wrong? Like, what was the worst thing?
This could be a long show. I mean, primarily for me, it was the defense. I know we weren't great attacking, and Dirk Cotter's not a great
anything
by all accounts, but the D just could not stay on the field. We couldn't hold plays, we couldn't stop plays. Our offense were on the field constantly, and then the D were just, I don't know, we were just letting points slip constantly. Every time that we went points ahead, you knew we were going to lose a game, and that was literally a fact. It wasn't even a debate. It was just we've lost. I think that's the main thing.
I think we created ways to lose in every game we lost, or like the 5 times we actually blew a lead or whatever. It was like a different way of blowing it. So it was just like we're creating our own records, and it's not good records that we want. It's like when is it the girl? I'll go back to the girly one. He scored a touchdown and we lost the game
against the Lions.
You know what? I watched that one. I think wasn't the Lions defense laughing?
Yeah, basically.
They wanted him to score.
Gurley through. They like fake played him. Gurley had the ball and didn't really mean to go that far, and they were kind of just like, go on, lad, go on, like ushered him to the line. And just before that play as well, Matt Ryan said, whatever you do, don't score. Score. To everyone. And no, shatters. However, we still should have conceded again after that, though. We shouldn't have dropped any points after that. We should have still won the game.
I was going to say, didn't you also, it was quite early on, if I'm not wrong, the Dallas Cowboys lost as well.
That was off an onside kick that no one knew to pick the ball up. Everyone was just like, what do I do? It was just like, what do you mean? How do you not know the rules? You're getting paid £6 million a year to not know the rules of picking the ball up.
Yeah.
I think that was where, like, DQ, obviously, he went after 5 games, and some people wanted him gone before the start of the season or like end of last year. But I think that game sort of just, the fan base turned after that, but properly turned.
Because that was quite early on into the season, if I'm not wrong. So it was kind of like a trigger point.
Yeah.
0-2 down off it.
It was the second game, I think it was. So after first game against the Seahawks, they were obviously a good side. It was one of them, and then we blew a Cowboys lead and blew a Bears lead. So look, realistically, you're 2-1 with them wins, and then you think DQ's probably stating few other wins, but it just went straight downhill and just kept going downhill.
But guys, I want to ask Danny and Cal, what do you guys feel about Matt Ryan? Like, I know, gosh, how old he's mid-30s now? How old is he?
35?
Nearly 36.
Yeah, so he's 35, going on to 36. Is he still? How many years left do you think you have of Matt Ryan?
At top level, as in how he's performing now, which other people won't see at top level because he gets sacked 40 times a year and everything. But at top level, I'd say he's got another like 2 or 3 maybe. And then after that, I think that he'll probably call it time a little bit earlier than like Brady and Breeze have done. I don't know why. It's just he's been hit a hell of a lot more times than most of them guys get hit. So it's going to take its toll eventually unless we sort the O-line out.
So do you feel like going to this offseason, as a Denver fan, I knew, okay, this offseason, first thing first is we need to start our secondary. What was it for? I know you said at the start, Danny, you said it's your defense, but what position in particular do you feel like you needed to improve on?
Go on, Cal, you start and I'll carry on.
The biggest problem was like we need an edge, and in this draft, there's not. It's one of them drafts where we get the 4th pick. and Chase Young isn't on the board like he went last year, and that is what we needed. If he was on the board this year, there's not a chance. There wouldn't be any talks about a quarterback. I don't think there'd be no talks about anything else. I think he would be obviously the man, and there's not that kind of guy on the board at the top 10, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe he could, if we obviously traded down to 9th, which I think we'll get onto, we could then pick one up. But I think that is one of the major problems. Obviously, it depends what fan you ask, because a lot of people just say quarterback, and that's it.
Quarterback isn't necessary at all, though. Matt Ryan's got years left in him, and especially with the tools in front of him, it doesn't matter if he changes from a deep, like playing deep balls, to literally throwing pocket passes. Any quarterback can adjust like that. You've got to keep him upright. But then, like you said about the D, we've got absolutely no pass rush or anything like that last year. I think we finished 28th in sacks, or 28th, 26th, or something like that, and that's just not good enough either. Like, for a team that, player-wise, you sound decent. Like, man for man, I'd actually put us pretty highly in the NFL. But how we performed just did not match up to that at all.
Abbas, I know you played like the Saints. I mean, sorry, you played the Falcons as a Saints fan. You watched the Falcons twice a year. What did you feel like going into Falcons games? Did you feel like this team is not it at all? Because I remember watching a couple Falcons highlights and I was thinking, this is just not the same team I once saw.
I mean, I'll say this: since the Super Bowl collapse, I've always said about certain teams in conferences and divisions, there's the cream, and then there's a team that will just have a season or two where they will be elite. And I felt like the Falcons were that, Carolina were also that, but the Saints were always the cream. And I still stick by that now. When it comes to playing the actual Falcons, I'm still always wary of the offense. I won't sit back and say that I won't think that you guys can go deep and stuff like that. But defensively, it's not a problem. I can say as a Saints team, we could hit 30, 40 points, and it's not really going to be a struggle. It's just the rivalry itself that makes it a bit more heated. But as an actual game itself, it shouldn't really be difficult as a Saints fan for me to go in and be comfortable that we can go 2-0 against the Falcons.
Yeah.
But sometimes there can be the odd moments, and it normally comes towards the back end of the season. If we've won the first game, then the back end of the season, I just think sometimes when the Falcons tend to have nothing to play for some reason, it seems like a game where we get a bit more nervous. But in reality, no, I would say that as a Saints fan, I'm pretty comfortable as a whole in the division. But against the Falcons, it's the best rivalry, but it's probably the easiest game for me as a Saints fan.
We let your second, arguably third choice quarterback absolutely ruin us last season, and it was bad. I'm pretty sure there was a stat like he'd never thrown a pass over X amount of yards, and he'd never thrown for a touchdown pass, and all of these things, and he just literally whitewashed every single stat that he'd never completed before against us. And that was we didn't even have that many injuries at the time, so we don't even have that excuse. The injuries tended to come a little bit later on, but it was a shambles.
Just gonna say on something though, so how does it feel as like a fan of a team once you get to a certain point of the season when you realize, okay, the playoffs have gone? Do you play for tanking, or do you play to try to get as many wins as possible?
Well, this is only our third season, so we've not even seen a winning season yet. So we're sort of already used to the losing season, which doesn't actually help. But I think this is a difference between UK fans and a lot of American fans, because obviously we run the Twitter section. A lot of the fans were like, American fans were like, oh, we should stop. We should tank. And tanking's not. It's not really a thing. I've had this discussion a lot because the players are never going to tank because they're playing for their careers. If they tank, they're going to get released at the end of the season if they're not in contract, and they won't get another club. They won't get another team. That's the end of that could be the end of their career.
Yeah.
So I don't think tanking's. It's sort of like a myth thing, like what fans want to happen, but I don't As a fan, I never want my team to lose ever. I don't get how you'd want your team to lose. I've never understood it.
No, I can't wrap my head around it. I get the yeah, you get a better draft position, but really, do you want to carry on suffering for another like 9 months of knowing you finish 4-12 like we did and things like? I mean, that's us not tanking. That was us trying to play. But I would not want to sit through that and do that by choice. And like Cal said, the players are playing for the careers, so I don't really get it. And to be honest, like we'll back them and want them to win every week. But as the season goes on a little bit, when you know the playoffs are done, the losses do hurt a little bit less. Like Q missed a kick right at the end of one of the games, literally like one of the last games of the season, which would have tied us and took us into overtime. However, him not getting that kick got us the 4th pick. So like it balances out a little bit, but I'd never want us to tank.
If you were to tank, sorry, obviously you would get a better draft pick. But as you said, you're in a bit of a weird position where you need an edge rusher. And at the 4th pick, you're not going to take a quarterback because you've got Matt Ryan. You're in a weird position where you can't really there isn't that caliber of player at that in this draft. So there would literally have been no point in you guys doing that because you go from the 4th to the 3rd or 2nd pick. It doesn't really matter because you're probably going to trade it away at like
exactly.
So there literally wouldn't have been any point in it.
No, I agree. We may as well have gone for the wins and just get whatever's put in front of us because I still see us trading away at 4th anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered, like you said, if we came 2nd or not. It's a bit more capital, but it's a lot more suffering for those couple of months at the end of the season. So
definitely.
Go on, Cal.
Just what Danny said about the losses. Like when you do lose the game, it is a bit like you sort of think about the draft pick. So you're still annoyed that you've lost, but it sort of happens. So it's like we get over it. Like Danny said, you sort of get over that loss quicker. Apart from if you're blowing a lead and you then get very annoyed once again.
Like every game.
Yeah. But overall, I think I just don't get why wouldn't you'd always want your team to win. When we played the Saints twice, we was out of the playoffs back then. But I didn't go into the game thinking, oh, draft. I was thinking, let's batter them. That's the only thing that should be on your mind.
Yeah.
Oh, no, right. But all right. So we spoke about that 4th pick. Danny, you said you wanted to trade it away, and I kind of get why you want to trade it away because you still have a decent quarterback in Matt Ryan. Maybe you can sort out an O-line. Maybe an O-line because, as you did say, Matt Ryan does seem to get hurt quite a bit. Do you go for a new sort of type of tackle, or do you feel like we can trade away? Maybe trade. What's your ideal scenario in the draft? Really? Do you want to trade or do you want to pick?
I mean, a little bit earlier on, I wanted somewhere around 6th or 7th, to be honest with you, but all of those spaces have pretty much been dealt with now. So the Broncos are the only one that are probably going to come calling in a position that I'd want. I definitely want a top 10, still want a top 10, so we can get I know you're going to get high caliber of players constantly, but I feel like that we still need a reasonably high pick. So I'd want that 9th spot, but I'd want a hell of a lot in return as well, because if we give it away, like even though we don't need a quarterback now, we could still get a franchise quarterback if he's happy to sit for a couple of years. So we're giving away that opportunity. So whoever we do bring in needs to change our team entirely. Like it needs to be a game-changing player. I
mean, you guys mentioned that you would trade for the Broncos, and obviously, Toni, you're a Broncos fan. So would you take that trade knowing that most likely if you were to trade with the Falcons, you would probably be drafting a quarterback? Because the way I look at it, I think one of the best teams positioned really would be New England. They've managed to go through free agency and load up offensive weapons. You then have Cam Newton on a 1-year deal. Now you have the ability to draft in a franchise quarterback. Now, if the Falcons did do that, I would say this: they are more horrible and more stupid as an organization than they are already.
Oh my God!
NFC South beef. I'm loving it.
You are giving Bill Belichick, the same guy that gave you the most humiliating loss in a Super Bowl history, the opportunity to get a franchise quarterback. And if I'm the Falcons, I would really push if they came for a lot. But yeah, to my point, you take that trade for Denver and then what would you do with Drew Lock as well?
Oh, me. Well, personally, I want to trade down. I don't think we need the 9th pick. I don't want the 4th pick because I feel like going you know me, I've had my Drew Lock stocks. For people that don't know, I've had my stocks in Drew Lock. I wanted a bit of him in Mizzou, and I was like, I like this guy. Didn't have the greatest of seasons last season. I know he led the league in interceptions. You know?
13.
Yeah, I think he did. But anyway, I'll tell you why. He gave me hope in Carolina, the Panthers game away, and there's glimpses, right? There's glimpses. And we had a depleted team, no Von Miller. We had no Colin Sutton as well. So there's still faith in him. But the reason I don't want the 4th pick is because I don't feel like I do want to get a quarterback. But I don't feel it's not the biggest need right now. I feel like if a quarterback is there, we take him. We're not going to be in the situation next season. But I feel like we got to take the best player at the 9th pick. We've got to take the best player in the board because I feel like we had a really good offseason with, and I'm happy what Jordan Payton did in practically getting practically our best defense since 2015, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's all right. And we somehow still lead the league in the best red zone defense, right? Still somehow. I don't know how, but we still do. So making that defense better I'm happy with that. And I've always said we have a really good young offensive core, and we're practically a good franchise quarterback away from contending, in my opinion. Maybe that's just a Broncos fan opinion, but I feel like we're a really good, like, let's say if we get a Russell Wilson caliber, I feel like we could probably contend with that team. But that's not what the reason I don't want a QB. Well, I do, but I feel like a QB can fall in the 9th pick. And I even feel like even if we don't get a QB, even if we still get the best player, like let's say if all the QBs go before 9th, we get Micah Parsons, because we can do with an inside linebacker. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we could do with that, and I won't be sad. I don't want to go aggressive because one, as Danny said, Danny wants a lot for that 4th pick, and I don't want to give up a lot. I'd rather trade down, maybe to like 13, and just get the best player on the board. And if we don't believe in Drew Lock, then we can sign someone. We've got a lot of cap. We can sign someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still feel like we can give Drew Lock one more year. If we don't give Drew Lock and we go, let's say Justin Fields, or I don't think Trey Lance is going to fall, but let's say Justin Fields falls tonight, I'll take Justin Fields. But if we stick with Drew Lock and get Mike Parsons or just the best player on the board at that time, I think it's fine. So I don't think we really need to be aggressive. We're not desperate for a QB. I think that's the main thing. Like, we're not desperate. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think we're desperate.
I think we're in the same boat, really. Like you said, we have the potential to pick someone that could be generational and change us for the next 10 years. But we can also draft a quarterback in the 3rd or the 4th that will just sit there for a few years and might come good. And if not, then in 4 years' time, we'll deal with it when Matt's done. And I think that's probably how you are in a way. I know Locke's a lot different to Matt Ryan, but you're in the same principle where it's not a necessity as such. Like, we have other holes to fill as well. We need O-line, we need all of a D. We've got 0 safeties. We've got nothing. So that's why I want to trade back, really, just so we can get in some picks and try and stack it up as much as we can, because obviously we have 0 cap space whatsoever.
I think your 9th pick's it depends what we do completely, because you're looking at the Lions, they won't draft a quarterback. Dolphins, no. Panthers now, no, I don't think, because we've obviously got 2 on the field. So I think if we went, like, there's big rumours of us going for Pitts, obviously the tight end, who's very good, to be fair. But I think if we end up staying at 4th and we take him, then Fields or Lance should drop to 9th to you. But that's where I also think the Panthers at 8, a team might come in for them, because they could drop to say 15 and someone else could take that, Fields or Lance, whoever's left on the board. So it's quite an intriguing one.
I'm very shocked when I don't know where this notion's come from that Justin Fields is like not one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft class. At the start, it was Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and I wrote an article on it saying which one of the 2 is better. Okay, Trevor Lawrence is better. I think everyone's understood that by now. But it seems to have gone from Justin Fields was 2, and now Zach Wilson's 2, and Justin Fields is nowhere. And I don't know where it's come from.
They do this all the time. I feel like that throw that he made and Patrick Mahomes tweeted sheesh has just boosted his draft stock. Like, you know, if you play Madden and you have like a good workout and it just boosted your draft stock. I feel like that's what we've done with Zach Wilson, because it was literally the notion the whole season was Trevor Lawrence 1, Justin Fields 2.
Yeah.
And now somehow Justin Fields is falling into like some Broncos mock drafts, and I'm thinking, oh, all right, like I wouldn't mind Justin Fields. Even back in the day, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Elite 11, what they do with high school.
You wouldn't know, yeah.
Yeah, so Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence were in the same year, and Justin Fields was that. So I've been keeping my eye on them from back then. Yeah. And it's actually crazy how Zach Wilson is just suddenly now people think that Zach Wilson's better than. I know, okay, he had an all right career at BYU, but still, like, I thought Justin Fields some of his throws didn't look good in his workout. It felt like somewhat underthrown, but I don't know how he's falling to ninth.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the third or fourth back. Even Trey Lance doesn't have that much of a resume. Like, he's only played full college season. He looks good though. I can't lie. He looks good, and he has the type of quarterback build you kind of want now in the modern game. But I think it's crazy that we're even talking about Justin Fields in ninth, and I think it'll be a steal if we get him in ninth.
I think people are too obsessed with the workouts, to be honest with you. It's such a small, little sample to watch someone of, like, throwing 20 balls, running a 40-yard in 4.4, 4.3 and things like that. Like, the nerves on that day must be absolutely insane. It's no representation of the season that they've had previously. Like, Justin Fields had a pretty solid season by all accounts. I know he's not flawless by any means, and he's got work to do, but so have all of them. There's no saying that anyone chosen at first, second, or third is going to be perfect. So if I was going to choose one, I'd have him. I just don't think he'd be happy to sit there for like 3 years, really.
Yeah. Do you really think Matt Ryan's got 3 more years?
I do. If we can sort the O-line, yes. If we can't, then no, he's dead next year. But
yeah. So is it? I think you take like a saw, and then sort out the O-line.
Yeah,
because you really need Kyle Pitts. Like, do you need another offensive weapon?
I'm not for that, but then I'm not
against it.
It's such a hard one. I'm not like, it's one of them. It will get the fans like buzzing, but it's not something we need. But
Hayden Hurst is a monster. Hayden Hurst is insanely underrated just because he's not really had enough game time and he's not played in a team that really suits him as of yet, and Dirk Cotter's play didn't suit him at all. So he's incredible. I think it's just the glamour of signing a player like Pitts, really, isn't it, that's drawing people in so far.
Yeah, I'm going to keep talking about people in the draft class. Kyle Pitts is a glorified wide receiver. Nobody seems to know on Twitter if he can block or not, and that's probably like half of the job as a tight end. And people saying, Travis Kelce doesn't block. Kyle Pitts is not Travis Kelce.
No, absolutely. And I think that's the problem, because we've got Hayden Hurst, who's a little bit like that already. He's not the greatest blocker in the world. He's just all right at everything, but he's probably better offensively. But then we've just brought in a tight end that's literally specifically just going to stand there and protect Matt Ryan. So we've kind of got tight end covered. So it would be not a waste of a pick, but a bit of a silly one. Obviously, if we sign him, I'll be over the moon because it'd be great to watch, but that's just for aesthetics, not for what the team actually needs.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably in the only camp where I would say if you don't get any value for the fourth pick, you keep it and you take a quarterback. And then, and this is going to sound a bit crazy, you start looking at Matt Ryan and you start moving on from him. Like, it's gotten to the point for me. Like, I don't say Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, but Matt Ryan for me.
Say it. I know you want to say it.
Matt Ryan's one of them quarterbacks for me that's not clutch. He can put up exceptional numbers.
Yeah,
like, he will get 4,500 yards from him per season. That's not a problem. But since the Super Bowl, that little window, there's no wins to go along with it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's nothing wrong. You've got a new coach that came in last season. So now you put a new quarterback with a new coach and you start a new system. And because there's not going to be enough time for the Falcons to be able to get enough pieces to protect Matt Ryan. So if that's the case, if you are depleted, as you guys do say you are, what is the point in trying to risk the fourth pick where you have a very good quarterback possibly on your hands? You take that and you try to mold him into it, and he probably will be a bit more elusive than probably a Matt Ryan to start off with. So that will probably help you. But I was going to ask you about your running back situation. Would you never look at a Najee Harris or Travis Etienne or something like that if you were to trade down? I wouldn't take him with the 4th pick, of course.
Surely.
Drop down to where you can get a nice little value package. One of them, Alabama.
You'd imagine going somewhere like late first, early second sort of round for them to start getting into the debates, but that's all about the pick. Go on, Cal. Sorry, you're gonna.
Yeah, well, there's a few teams that obviously Harris and Etienne. I think both of them will go in the first round, but late, maybe late. I think there's a few teams that are, and then Williams is the other one in it who's seems probably the first best out there. And I think he might be. I think he'll be our 2nd pick. I don't know if that's slightly too high, but I think it depends what we go. Because if we go, if you would go quarterback at number 4, and then one of them 3 are there at your 2nd pick, can you take another offensive player when we literally have no safeties? We have one safety on the board, and we have like our secondary is pretty ruined, etc. So it's like you can't. It's great if we can score 60 points a game but concede 55. I'll take it all day long. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Wasn't there a time where your kicker could score more points than the Falcons team?
I think he ended the season like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was the highest scorer, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was the highest
by
scorer,
a lot.
Yeah. I know that reflects badly, but he was also unbelievable. He literally
he's a very good kicker.
He's very, very good.
I think he's a great kicker.
But yeah, that does reflect really badly on our offense that we actually consider to be pretty reasonable. But then again, Julio Jones barely played last season. Calvin Ridley was very, very good. Gage stepped up when he needed to, but missing Julio Jones is a massive. Like any team in the NFL would feel that, wouldn't they? So it's a bit different.
The thing about your offense that I find interesting is you were very good in terms of pass yards and pass completion and everything. I think you were like 5th in pass yards, but rushing yards you were like 5th bottom or something. And obviously Todd Gurley is gone now. Is Mike Davis the guy from Carolina that you've traded for? You were the new head coach as well that used to be the Titans offensive coordinator working with Derrick Henry. Obviously, he's not Derrick Henry, but you'd assume that would help bring in the rush game a little bit better, so it's more of an even offense.
Absolutely. I think that's got to be the aim as well. We've got to balance out more because everybody knew what was coming. Nobody went to anyone near the running back because what's the point? It's not going to go to him. And if it is, Dirk Cutter's playbook, he opened it. It was 1 page and it said, if it's a running play, run in the gut. And nobody ever got more than 2 yards. That was it, every single play. So that'll definitely be something that I want to see more of as well because there's only so many times Matt Ryan can throw it 50 yards and hope that somebody catches it.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, looking towards draft and next season, I'm going to ask you separately, Danny and Cal. Let's say you guys are the GMs of the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you take with your pick, and what is your hope for this upcoming season?
Go on, Cal.
No pressure, GM Cal.
I know, yeah. Well, I think if Denver come in with a good offer, I'm trading down to 9 without a doubt. That's the only team. I won't go lower. Pats. Patriots would have to give us about 18 first if they ever want our 4th place at all. But Denver is the only team for me, and I'd be demanding quite a lot. If you don't come in for us, I'd probably have to take a quarterback at 4 because it's either quarterback or Pitts. It looks like I don't think we'll go for O-line only because there's a lot of change in the O-line. This Sewell looks absolutely unbelievable, but there's positions would have to be changing, which would then put someone else in a position that he's not strong in.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go Fields, but I still hope we just trade down, and that's just what's on my mind mostly. But I'm feeling it's going to be a quarterback.
Oh, I don't want a quarterback though. Not that high anyway. I'll take the Broncos trade if it was offered to us. I wouldn't go any lower than 9th, any lower than 10th, the same as Cal. And I don't even know who you'd pick at that level because it's who's left on the board. Because I presume, like, if you were to trade up, you'd take a quarterback as well. So that's another quarterback off the board. Penny Sewell's probably your shout for that number, and he wouldn't be that much out of place if you took him. But like Cal said, it pushes Gary out of position, which is not ideal considering he's only going into his third year. So that's not a great thing to do because he played a few snaps there and looked shaky as hell. I don't know the shout. I actually genuinely do not know the shout anymore because every time I think that I have a plan, I just think, no, we're just going to go for Fields and call it a day and let him sit there for years.
So
Painful.
I was going to say, like you mentioned about this next season and stuff. I wanted to get your guys' ideas on the rankings of the actual division. So where do you see the Falcons, Carolina, the Saints, and the Bucs in terms of 1, 2, 3, and 4? And like, as if you want to be
biased or
I think Bucs they're going to win the division again. I don't think there's any questions about that one personally.
Yeah.
Second, I think they'll definitely win it. Second, it's one of them. I think Saints have obviously lost a few players. I don't know who your quarterback's gonna be.
I think it probably will be Jameis.
Right. Which he's not a bad player at all. Is obviously I don't think he's that bad, but he's not Drew Brees. So you're taking a few losses off the board straight away with that. I think it just depends how we do in the draft completely. And I think one benefit that we've not mentioned is Dean Pease as defensive coordinator. If he gets the right players in, he will shoot that defense. I think he's only had like one defense out of the top 10 in the last 12 years he was coaching. I'm not saying we're going to get top 10, but even if we go from 28th to 20th, that's an extra couple of wins on the board. If we don't blow leads, it's an extra couple of wins on the board. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go us second because why not?
Wow.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I've got a Saints fan in it, definitely. And then I'm going to go for the Saints, and then I'm going to go for obviously the Panthers. But I think us three will be quite close, personally.
Someone say Saints bottom just to see Abbas's reaction.
Oh, don't be silly now. I think, if I'm honest,
Saints just get removed halfway through the season. I think it just three of them just ends up with three. They just get removed.
I'd be surprised if, like, as a Saints fan, like, if we don't end up with double-digit wins still, because we're still set to win. Like, for us, when it comes to the draft, we'll be picking late, and we'll probably be looking at more secondary, the cornerback position and stuff like that, to have someone link up with Lattimore. But there's not much. I can look at my team and think we need a lot of work. It's just need things to go our way. And like Tony's going to say, but I did pick him to win the Super Bowl. I said at the start that the Bucs.
I'm not gonna let you say it. I'm gonna say it. This guy said Tom Brady during the start of our season on our podcast. He said that Tom Brady wouldn't even make the playoffs.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so hear me out with this. If you think about it,
I said this guy's probably going to win the Super Bowl. He was like, no, Tom Brady's not going to make the playoffs.
You think about what I said. I always say, I said that I thought there'll be 6 teams. I forgot that there were 7. I forgot that everybody stacked the deck to help Brady get in as much as they could. Then when he got in, so much luck went his way. It's unbelievable. Like, he has the Washington football team to play. Like,
that was the hardest game.
Yeah, but we're one of the worst teams in the entire conference. So you play them to start with, then you play us, and we hand you over the game. Then you end up playing the Green Bay Packers, who should really have finished you off in the second half, but they made horrible plays. And then the game that he was the most impressive was the Super Bowl. But then I also
played 3 former MVPs, man. Just give him his respect.
I said that.
I think everyone. I respect him, but I detest him. Like, I have so much. You can't not have respect for him. Even though he's won 7. He's got 7 rings. You can't not respect him, but you can also feel hatred towards him, which I'm fine with.
He's all hurt us except for Ciaran. Ciaran, you guys are the only persons that have not been done by Tom Brady.
I'm not going to lie, though. At the start of the season, we did some shows as well and mentioned the Bucs quite a lot. And I didn't say that they wouldn't make the playoffs, but I was pretty confident they wouldn't win the Super Bowl because I think my wording was, what is signing 2 OAPs in Gronk and I'm just going to shut up now because it was bad.
Wow. Well,
I genuinely thought, the Bucks are solid, they're all right, but surely them 2 players coming in isn't going to revolutionise them. And well, I eat my words.
I can see the understanding 100%. But I said it. I've learned from all the years of watching the NFL. I've learned just to never bet against Tom Brady. I've learned from first hand. I couldn't do it. There's just no point. There's just some people in this life like Tom Brady, Thanos, Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, they're just inevitable people, right? You just can't like bet against them. So I've just learned not to do it. Like as much as I detest this guy, and I just don't bet against him anymore. You just got to appreciate greatness.
The famous 3 horsemen of the apocalypse: Tom Brady, Thanos, and Bruno Fernandes.
Literally, like the most inevitable people ever. But normally before we end it, guys, we normally let our guests shout out what they want to, what they've got going on. So feel free, guys. The floor is yours to shout out anything you've got.
Love a little plug. Me and Cal are both off ATL Falcons UK. I'm pretty sure we're the biggest Falcons fan base outside of America, but don't quote me on it, just in case there's someone out there hiding. But we're on Twitter, Instagram. We run YouTube shows a little bit like this, so we'll have you on again soon sometimes, guys, the other way around. Just give us a follow, drop us a subscribe, and just watch us waffle. We don't only talk about Falcons, don't worry, because that gets too painful. So, and we're wearing our own merch because we're really nerdy like that. So,
you know what? I want to be cool. You know what? I've always said I want to be cool enough to start having our own merch. We're not cool enough just yet. I don't think anyone's gonna start wearing the zone stuff. Maybe I'll think.
I don't know because your logo and everything's pretty good. Like that would look good on hoodies.
That's what I was thinking. It would look good on hoodies. You know what? I had the exact same feeling. You know what? Maybe it's a sign, Danny.
Get some.
There we go. Because obviously ours is on other side. Ours is only like a little badge, but yours across the front. That'd look good.
Mate, I was thinking the exact same. You know what?
We'll promote it.
Yeah,
these for? How much are we selling these for?
I don't know.
Well, to be fair, we're only really drop shipping them at the moment, so we don't have anything to do with it. A company's doing it for us, and we get like a little bit of the cut. But the hoodies are about 30, about that.
But the hoodies are 30, but he does do a lot of offers. So like since the last 3 months, he's done free shipping all around the world, and then he always puts 20% deal on it, etc. So you always tend to get it quite cheap. So we bought a few things, and a few people bought stuff.
Yeah, they do caps
even from America, which is
stuff.
Quite good.
It is good. In fact, we'll link you to our guy. So then, if you do want to do it, he can mock you some stuff up.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. I'm glad we done this. This is good. But thanks, guys. We're gonna wrap it up there. Guys, Danny and Cal, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. We would love to have you on again, especially on the podcast as well, because we have a little NFL section of the podcast where we just talk about what's going on in the league. So we would love to have you guys on there again.
Absolutely.
This has been another episode of The Blitz. You can check the banner below. Subscribe to us on our YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at the.zoneldn. On Insta at the.zone_LDN. It's been another episode of The Blitz, guys. Till next time. Peace out. Nice and broadcast.